CBS 46 News with Sharon Reed and Ben Swan at 4, 5, 6, and 11.
The 25th SEC Championship game, the last in the Georgia Dome before it moves next door to a new stadium. And the teams have arrived. Florida, champions of the East again, looking to avoid a repeat of what happened last year on this stage against Alabama, who keeps on rolling. Behind the nation's best defense and a young star quarterback, they are meeting in the championship game for the 9th time. 5 times the winner has gone on to win the national title. The 25th SEC Championship game, about an hour away. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the Jeep postgame show. We saw the #1 team in basketball go down. What'll happen here with football? Adam Zucker with you from Atlanta. The SEC Championship between #1 Alabama and #15 Florida is on the way. I am joined by Rick Neuheisel and Brian Jones, and the seats here at the Georgia Dome are filling in.
Anytime you're playing for a championship, it's special. There's no question about it. You do it in a parking lot. When you put this many people in one place, it makes it really
And this
fun.
is where it all starts. Each season, you focus on winning a conference championship. I know, tomorrow night it may not seem that conference championships matter, but they still do, especially here in the SEC.
Of course, and so much focus on the playoff implications of all the games this weekend and how Alabama, as the only undefeated Power 5 team left, can afford a loss. Don't tell that to Nick Saban.
I mean, you all put everything about the playoffs, man. That's all you care about. You don't care about any bowl games. You don't care about any teams in the country that aren't in the playoffs. I don't know if we don't win this game. Maybe we throw a stink bomb out there. Maybe we don't get in the playoffs. So I'd really rather not have any more questions about, is it okay to lose this game? It's never okay to lose a game.
Nick Saban's continued crusade against complacency. It smells okay in here.
Well, that's why he's here on an annual basis. That's why he's always playing for national titles, because they find a way to instill in their players that it's all about winning. It's about those championships.
You know the face you make when you drink something bitter. That's the same face a coach makes when you say it's okay to lose.
Right.
Especially a coach who's made winning a habit maybe more than anybody else in his era. This guy doesn't want to talk about anything other than victory.
It's probably the same face the reporter made as well after Nick Saban grilled him back for that one. What's Florida got to do to hit the first punch in this?
Yeah, we've seen this movie before. We had a sputtering Florida offense a season ago. It was more about the quarterback position. This year, they haven't been able to muster touchdowns in these last 4 ball games with any ease. So they've got to come in with a Herculean effort and somehow with some deception throw this Alabama defense off its game.
Only 180 yards last year for the Florida offense against this Alabama defense. They're going to have to throw out some of the plays that just flat won't work. Just get to draws, throw the ball, make sure Appleby has time to get it out of his hand. And if they can do that, they have some big play guys who can make some big time, create some opportunities for the Florida offense.
Yeah, they've got the explosive players that you need, especially at the wide receiver position, Powell and also Galloway, but do they have the requisite time to get the rock to them?
All right, we got a great show on the way. The Vern Lundquist will be joining us, Gary Danielson as well, as we get set for the SEC Championship. We will be back momentarily with CBS College Football Championship Saturday, presented by Jeep, right after this.
This is a special occasion.
It's the SEC Championship game, which is one of the most competitive environments.
It's the SEC Championship. I mean, it means everything.
Florida and Alabama are the 2 biggest teams in the SEC, and that's just the way it should be.
Facing Florida the second year in a row, it's a great competition going against them.
Last year, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, so this year it's a rematch, and we're looking to knock off the #1 team.
Every year, so it's a headbanger.
Both programs, are known for playing good defense, would lead us back to this path again.
Us as the Florida Gators, I feel like we should be able to shock the world and let everybody know that we can beat Alabama.
The guys in orange and blue are going to be ready to roll.
We're going to have to bring it to win.
Be the champion of the best conference in college football means you're the best team in college football.
shown us that Atlanta has been a crucial stop in the process of determining the national champion. For number 1 Alabama, winning the SEC championship here is always nice, but anything less than a national title would be a disappointment. Florida returns to the SEC championship game seeking revenge for last year's loss to the Tide. Which of these teams? Saturday, presented by Jeep. Hello again, everyone. I'm Adam Zucker, setting the lineup for the day. Coming up next at 3:30 Eastern, it is Auto Trader College Football today. Then it is the SEC championship game on CBS, presented by Dr. Pepper. Number 1 Alabama against number 15 Florida. I am joined by Rick Neuheisel and Brian Jones here at the Georgia Dome. Again, last time before it moves across the street, Alabama coming in on a 24-game winning streak, the longest of the Nick Saban era.
Well, this just in, Adam. They love their football down here in the South.
Yeah, man.
And this is the 25th chapter of the championship game in the SEC. I think we're in for a wild ride.
Oh, I'm fired up, man. You've won championships. I've won them, and it starts with that conference championship. Get that one out of the way, and then possibly there are bigger things on the horizon. Alabama has shown us over the Nick Saban era, there are always bigger things on the horizon.
Especially last year when they had a big back. Last year in this game, all eyes were on Derrick Henry. Today, it's a player with the same number, but a very different way to beat you in freshman quarterback Jalen Hurts.
Well, Brian likes to call this young man the smooth operator, and he has been just that. He's been phenomenal as a passer, as a quarterback. Listen, 21 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions. Those are really good numbers for a freshman. But when you factor in what he's done for this offense with his legs, 840 yards rushing, on pace to be a 1,000-yard rusher. And just a couple of weeks ago against Mississippi State, he put them both together. 347 and 4 touchdowns and 100 yards on the ground.
It is going to be difficult for this Florida defense that's dealing with some attrition of its own to stop this guy. But he has had a propensity to put the ball on the turf. He's got 9 fumbles, lost 5 on the year. He's got 9 interceptions as well. So if Florida's defense can force him into mistakes, they can capitalize on those mistakes, then maybe we have a different outcome than everyone is anticipating.
And if that starts to happen, that's when Nick Saban tells Lane Kiffin, let's just do what we do best at Alabama, run the ball downhill.
Well, Lane likes to get everybody involved early in the game, and you can get some lateral stuff. You saw that against LSU, but when the rubber hits the road, he's going to come downhill, and he's got some great running backs to do that with. Damian Harris right now is on pace for 1,000 yards. He's got 900 coming into the game, over 7 yards a carry. Bo Scarborough looks like Derrick Henry from a year ago. He's over 5 yards a carry. And they got a youngster, Joshua Jacobs, who comes in and can put some rushing yards together as well.
And they've got a lot more. It doesn't stop with just those guys. How about those wide receivers? Ardarius Stewart, you've got Calvin Ridley. This team reminds me of Florida back in 07 and 08, the way they utilized Stewart and Ridley, not only in the passing game, but in the running game. It's like Percy Harvin all over again back when the Gators were winning this game and going on to win national titles.
And between those two, they've combined for 15 total touchdowns. They'll be covered by the best part of the Florida defense that isn't hurt right now in Tease Tabor and Quincy Wilson, top passing defense in the SEC. They may need to get some pick sixes because for Florida, the question continues to be offense and can they generate any against this Alabama defense?
Deja vu again. Florida came into this game a year ago really struggling offensively. That's the case again. 0 for 12 on 3rd down against Florida State. They're pinning their hopes on this young guy, Austin Appleby, a Purdue transfer. The good news is for Gator fans, he has had some big games. 17 for 21 against South Carolina. Here a big play against LSU that got him here to Atlanta. They're going to have to give him some time and give him some chances to get big chunks of yardage.
That's going to be the key. Give him some time to find these explosive players because you got Antonio Callaway. You got Brandon Powell over there as well. These guys can affect change on the back end of your defenses. Unfortunately for them, they've only combined for 4 touchdowns on the year. Powell hasn't sniffed the end zone since the second ball game of the season. That was a 45-7 drubbing of Kentucky. So they have to find them early and often and get the rock to them.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can do it. Only 4 total touchdowns for them going up against this Alabama defense, and maybe it'll help Florida that Steve Spurrier's doing the coin toss. They will need all the help that they can get going against this defense that has not given up a touchdown in quite some time. It's been since October 22nd, the last time the Tide D gave up a touchdown. Guess what? Donald Trump was not president-elect yet. The Cubs were not World Series champions yet. Penn State was unranked, and the Vikings were 5-0. We'll all remember where we were when the Vikings lost, among all the things that happened there. So that is part of why Alabama has won 7 of 8 SEC games this year by double digits, and will look to continue to dominate on that side of the ball as well. And Florida is going to have to pull out as many tricks as they can come up with.
They're going to have to. They cannot be status quo. They're going to have to come up with another plan, hopefully a lot of throwing, and hopefully time to get the throws down the field.
You've heard it. Caution to the wind. Throw it all out there.
All right, we're going to throw it up to New York. Also helping us out today is Brent Stover, keeping us updated on all of the action going on, including some big top 10 battles in the Big 12 and beyond. Brent?
Adam, thanks a lot. Let's start off the last night in Santa Clara with the Pac-12 championship game. Number 8 Colorado and number 4 Washington. The Huskies looking to hold on to that playoff spot and not let anybody like Michigan get past them. And here's Taylor Rapp, one of 2 picks for him. He takes it back for the touchdown. Sefo Lufa for Colorado threw 3 interceptions. First conference title for Washington since 2000 as they roll 41-10 on Friday night. Bedlam in Norman. Big 12 title up for grabs. 10th ranked Oklahoma State, number 9 Oklahoma. Just moments ago, Baker Mayfield loads of time. It's Joe Mixon. 12-yard touchdown strike. Mayfield 279 and 3 touchdowns through the air. This gives them a 2-touchdown lead with 4:15 left in the third quarter. The American title game. Navy hoping to get that group of 5 spot in the New Year's Six Bowl. Taking on Temple. Philip Walker, 22-yard touchdown. Deventel Bryant, 14-0. Then costly play for Navy. Quarterback Wilworth and featured running back Tony O'Gully both sustained injuries. They left the game. Worth replaced at quarterback by Zach Abey. Been that kind of a day for the midshipmen. 4:33 left. 27-10. Temple has got the lead. The Conference USA Championship game, a shootout early fourth, 48-44. The Hilltoppers looking for back-to-back titles in that league. And last night in the Motor City, Western Michigan 29-23. If the Navy score holds up, it looks like the Broncos will be headed to a New Year's Six Bowl as that group of 5 representative. All right, now right back down to Adam Zucker in Atlanta.
All right, Brent, wild day around the country. Coming up next year, Gary Danielson will join us on the field. We'll get his take on Alabama, Florida, the college football playoff, and more when we return.
CBS Sports College Football Championship Saturday, presented by Jeep, is sponsored by the new 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Jeep, free to be. Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
A game of honor. The Army-Navy game presented by USAA next Saturday on CBS.
Expectations have been high for Roll Tide to defend its SEC and national championships. Moments from Alabama's perfect season now, presented by Chick-fil-A.
Eddie Jackson, one man to beat, and he beat him. Kelly, pressure, throws, intercepted Alabama. He's going to go all the way. Touchdown. The ball is loose. Picked up by Jonathan Allen. He's going to take it for his 2nd touchdown of the year. Have a seat.
I'd say his technique is just fine.
Hurts rolls to his right. Touchdown, Jalen Hurts. Yes, sir.
And welcome back now inside the Georgia Dome. And joining us is the man you heard just now, Gary Danielson. And we have seen, look, it's not a surprise that Alabama's #1 or undefeated or has this great defense. But the fact that this freshman quarterback is leading the way, what have you seen from him as the season's gone on to show all this maturity?
I think, Adam, you've nailed it. When I looked at Alabama's schedule this year, playing at Ole Miss, at LSU, and early in the year, I figured if Arkansas got out in the right way and they'd be able to play physical football, the challenge for this team would be if they played a new quarterback, and obviously they were, as they had to replace Jake Coker, and then surprise of surprise, they're going with a true freshman. Imagine a year ago, this guy's watching TV, and then he lines up as quarterback for the national champion team, and not only is he just playing, he now has become a strength of this football team. It's really quite a story.
On the other sideline, as last year, offensively challenged Florida rolls into this ball game. Right. What can they do going up against this stout Alabama defense?
Brian, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I heard everybody's theory about this. I do agree with just about everything. You want to throw a few deep balls. I mean, maybe your best chance is on 50-50 balls deep and give your athlete a chance to get some big chunk plays. But I do think, their offensive line has been nicked. And we saw these defensive line for Alabama when A&M had to play a true freshman left guard. They got exposed. And now, you got Florida playing maybe two backups in that interior line. This is quite a challenge.
As a former Purdue quarterback, you saw Danny Etling take their swings at this defense. What are you saying to your other Purdue
I can't say this. You guys were both champions, but I'm for the participation trophy, to tell you the truth.
No way.
I just said you get in the game, you participate, you should get a trophy, I think. It's tough. Listen, I don't care where you come from, where you played. Yeah. I will say this. Maybe Appleby can say, the protection's not great, but it's not much different than I had at Purdue. So
well, guess what?
Maybe he's ready.
You get a participation trophy for joining us here today, and we're going to play upon further review now and take a look at one of your favorite topics, I know, the college football playoff rankings and the mess that the committee needs to clean up, what to do with the conference champions due to the Ohio State situation up there at number 2, because if Clemson wins, there's going to be a Big Ten champ that for now is left out while Ohio State's up there.
Right. I guess to me is I'm really disappointed that the committee has placed Ohio State in at this point. I really don't mind that after the fact, when they look at the 4 champions, if you take Clemson, the winner of the Penn State-Wisconsin game, you take Alabama, obviously, and Washington. If the committee then looks and says, you know what, we look at Ohio State and we just feel Ohio State is better than the 4th champion, I don't have a problem. My problem is now that they have them in before the game and they override a champion. I think that's a bad precedent, and I think it's a dangerous precedent to vault a team over a champion of a conference, not if they're a upset top 20 team, but if they're a top 10 team, the only thing unequivocal to me that's happened this season in college football is we don't know who's going to win these games against the top teams.
No, I agree with you 100%. They've turned their whole methodology as far as their core criteria being conference champions on its head.
I believe that, and there is a path for a non-champion. I don't think the intent ever was that you would disavow a champion of a league. I thought the intent was, well, there's 2 good teams from a league.
Right.
I didn't think we'd get here. I think it's a very dangerous precedent.
No, because it starts with that eye test, and like you said, they put them at number 2. It's going to be hard to yank them out.
And
Gary,
just remember the eye test had Alabama beating Ohio State just 2 years ago. Didn't happen.
Right, and Alabama wouldn't have even been in this game if Ole Miss hadn't lost to Arkansas. They were number 2 and needed that backdoor entry into the conference championship game as well. All right, Gary Danielson, everybody, be on the call.
Rooming me for Vern, huh?
Well, yes, because when we return, we are going to talk to your partner, the legendary Vern Lundquist, as he gets ready to call his final SEC championship game. My goodness, a talk with a sports television legend. Not you, BJ.
The Texans take on the Packers. The Bills try to shut down the Raiders. Exciting December football is underway. Sunday on CBS.
This is a great afternoon. The Black Knights of Army. Touchdown, Army. The midshipmen of the Naval Academy. Touchdown, Navy. It's America's game. Army versus Navy.
I'm Vern Lundquist, and welcome to this majestic city of Rome.
Puts it up. Yes! By George, the dream is alive.
Maybe.
Yes, sir. Oh, wow. In your life have you seen anything like that? Blocked again. Cody again. Oh, my. Alabama wins. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no. Touchdown, Auburn, an answered prayer. It's caught. It is caught. You know, I'm going to miss doing the SEC.
Yeah, I think so.
You cannot be a sports fan and not at least once in your life Gotten goosebumps from one of the classic moments that this man right here has brought us in more than half a century of sports broadcasting as we welcome the legendary Vern Lundquist here to our set. And I get goosebumps just sitting next to you, boss. It's
Adam,
great to see you.
Fun going back and forth last couple of years.
And what an emotional week it's been. You were honored as an SEC legend last night. Everyone knows you for the SEC on CBS. And with you, it's always story time. And there's a story you shared with us this week about a moment with another SEC legend, Bear Bryant, when you were working the sideline of a very important Iron Bowl.
Yeah, I was. It was 1981, and I was brought in case Bear won his 315th. I got to work with Keith Jackson and Frank Broyles, and they did win. So my task at the end of the game was to go into the north stands of Legion Field in Birmingham and interview Bear Bryant. Congratulations on your 315. So I take my spot. Chuck Howard, the producer, said, "Are you there?" And I said, "I'm here." He said, "Is your cameraman there?" And I said, "He's here." "I can't see you." I said, "Well, Chuck, we have no lights." "What do you mean we've got no lights?" I said, "We have no lights." And so here's the interview with Bear Bryant. Is that something?
I know they have so many of your former coaches and players.
He didn't even stop for it either. Huh?
Oh, no.
Now, are there other moments as you reflect back on your career that stand out like this one where there were mishaps or there were no lights or something where you just had to overcome the situation in the moment?
Sure. Oh, sure, Brian. Nothing comes to mind immediately other than at this same game, at the half, I was supposed to interview him this second half interview. "Coach, we need to do this interview." "Son, we're about to kick off." And I said, "Coach, trust me on this. We're not going to kick off until you and I do this interview." And I got a picture of it, and I sent it to his office. And he said, "Thanks for stopping me. Bear Bryant, number 315.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we stopped a lot of the coaches about you because everyone wants to talk to you, especially today. Everyone wants to give you a big hug, and everyone wants to say thank you. And you've touched so many lives over all these years, including the coaches of the SEC. Here you go.
Vern Lundquist, you know, his voice has been synonymous with obviously college football, but so many great sporting events over the years. You knew something great was going to happen, whether it was a Saturday or a Sunday. He was in a big-time place, and something great was going to happen, and he was going to call it well.
To get to the 2:30 game, you know what that means. That means that you have Vern. What a great guy. Very genuine, and that's something that, you can't fake that.
When you hear the voice, even without a picture, you know immediately it's Vern Lundquist, and you're drawn to it, and it's always fun to listen to.
Saturday primetime, that's the game you wanted to be in and play in, and Vern became synonymous with that.
The prayer at Jordan Hare, the kick six, when you get a chance to sit back and listen to the call that he made for those two, it just made it that much more special.
The utmost respect for what he's been able to accomplish and in the way that he accomplished it with such class.
You are SEC football on CBS. Your voice will always be remembered, and there isn't any better voice in America than yours.
You're one of my favorite all-time guys. The way you've impacted the SEC on CBS. We just have a tremendous amount of respect and wish you the very best in your retirement.
How about that? I'm very touched.
Pretty
good career, right?
Very touched.
Now, it's important to note that you're not done. You're going to still be around.
Yeah, correct Nick Saban. Nick Saban said retirement. What?
Game. But let me ask you this. Through all the pomp and circumstance and nostalgia surrounding this final year, how difficult has it been for you to do what you always do, which is keep the focus on the game?
Increasingly so. We started with UCLA at A&M, and it's gotten nostalgic and sentimental. And Nancy and I have not checked off every week. But when we got to 4 left, we knew it was 4 left. And I do have one more. We're going to do Army-Navy next week, which for me, this is the penultimate. But Army-Navy is such a great way for us to celebrate college football. I know Navy got whipped today, but that's okay. It'll still be a very special day. But, Rick, it's been so filled with warmth
in the interaction of the fans and the players and obviously the coaches.
And for us as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vern.
Thank you, Brian.
And from everyone in New York in my ear, thank you as well. You are the warmth of a college football Saturday, Vern. Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick.
Have a great game.
Thank you, Brian.
When we come back, we will break down the other conference championships in our Saturday Spotlight. Welcome back, everybody, as we get closer to kickoff in the SEC championship game. Time for these guys to make their picks in the other conference championship games. And last week, BJ, 5-1. 5-1. Rick was 4-2. So BJ now has an insurmountable lead of 9 games, but that will not stop us from picking the Saturday Spotlights presented by Chick-fil-A as we look ahead to tonight. We start with the Big Ten championship game, and raise your hand if you had Penn State and Wisconsin meeting in Indianapolis for this one. The Badgers will try to send a statement to the playoff committee by winning decisively. Yeah, good luck. Meanwhile, Nittany Lions can continue this improbable run to a possible playoff berth with a 9th straight win. Who wins?
And over that 8 straight wins, they've been averaging almost 40 points a game. Have the Nittany Lions. They got a stellar defense, but it's not going to be enough. I like the defense of the Badgers. So just a tick better. I'm going with Wisconsin.
And Ohio State might feel just a little bit safer if Wisconsin wins. All right, let's go to tonight's ACC championship game as well. Number 3, Clemson, and number 23, Virginia Tech. The one-loss Tigers can claim a 2nd straight conference title and should secure a top 4 spot with a victory tonight in Orlando. Meanwhile, the Hokies exceeded expectations under first-year head coach Justin Fuente and can shake up the playoff now with an upset, Rick. A lot of teams rooting for them.
You said it, Adam. What a first year for Justin Fuente, bringing some offense. Gerard Evans was fantastic, 26 touchdowns against just 5 picks. But this is going to be a Clemson night. They were on fire the last time they played against South Carolina. 6 touchdown passes for Deshaun Watson. They have a running game going, and they're a top 10 defense. I'm on Clemson.
So those games are tonight. Of course, the players are on the field. Jalen Hurts in Alabama getting set to face Florida here in the SEC championship game. The 9th time that these two teams will meet. It's getting loud in here,
It is getting loud, and your goosebumps are starting to form on the players, but they're all lathered up, and they're ready for this, especially Alabama. They've been here so many times. Florida, back-to-back years, so let's see what they bring to the party this year.
Critical that Florida get off to a good start and give their defense hope. The defense is stout. That if they get some help from their offense, they can stay around for the entire game.
And we still have about 30 more minutes to talk about Alabama against Florida here in the SEC championship game. And it is time to step aside for a moment as we move closer to the 25th SEC championship game. Stay with us now for Auto Trader College Football Today. After this word from your local station.
Red Khalil and Buck Falou on the CBS 46 SEC Wrap-Up Show.
Preseason number 1, 12-0 record, an explosive offense, and a smothering defense. The Alabama Crimson Tide seek their 4th national title in 6 seasons. Standing in their way, an old familiar foe. Will the Tide roll, or will the Gators take a bite out of Alabama's title hopes?
He's got room to run. Touchdown! Punctuation mark. Goes deep, wide open. Oh, my goodness. How do you like that?
The Crimson Tide have a history and pedigree like none other. 25 SEC titles, 16 national championships. Today's game is a gateway to add to the folklore that is Alabama. Meanwhile, Florida is here to shock the world. The Gators may not be able to keep the Tide out of the college football playoff, but they can stop them from becoming the 2016 SEC champions. Kickoff for number 1 Alabama and number 15 Florida is about 40 minutes away. Hello
everybody. I'm Adam Zucker, and welcome to Auto Trader College Football Today. Coming up next, it's the SEC Championship game on CBS, presented by Dr. Pepper. The Tide taking on the Gators. I'm joined by Rick Neuheisel and Brian Jones, and there's nothing like the Georgia Dome on SEC Championship Saturday. What are the players thinking? What are the coaches thinking right now,
Well,
guys?
it's a great atmosphere, and you feel it, and you try to treat it just like any other game, but you know it's not. One, is my equipment in order? Check. Is my mind right? Check. Well, let's go start a fight.
For coaches, it's the devil in the details, making sure everything gets off to a terrific start. But you do mention to your players, take a moment and look around. You need to smell the roses. You don't get these opportunities often.
No, the $1 Million Band is here as well, right behind us. And now let's take a look at some of the key players today. There are a lot of them as the teams are warming up live in our eye test. And we start with West Division champ Alabama, winners of 24 in a row.
Well, the key to their offense this season has been their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. And who would have believed that, BJ, when we started the season not knowing who it would be? This youngster has come in. He's thrown 21 touchdown passes against only 9 interceptions. He's run for 840. But more importantly, he's been calm. Even through the mistakes, he's been terrific.
Yeah, and that running game has been stellar, whether it's Jalen Hurts or it's a running back tandem of Damian Harris and Jacobs, and throw Scarborough in there. Damian Harris is averaging 103 yards versus ranked opponents this season.
Our Darius Studert's got 8 touchdowns. He's become the favorite target. And Ridley, he was a 1,000-yard receiver last year. He's kind of dipped those numbers a little bit as Stewart has gotten more attention. But these two guys are potent weapons on the outside.
But with Alabama, it is still that trademark defense led in part by Jonathan
And
Allen.
this is the man, 93 up front, defensive end 11.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 2 fumble returns for a touchdown. He's got to be on your Heisman list.
Maybe the best player in college football. Not since Ndamukong Suh have we seen anybody. How about this pass rusher? This is Tim Williams. Every protection says, where's 56? We got to have an extra guy on him. He still's found a way to have 8 sacks.
How about the 10.5 last year, and he wasn't even a starter. Marlon Humphrey started all 27 games during his career at Alabama. Of course, his father was an All-American running back here, had a stellar career during his NFL time as well.
Yeah, you can't show all of the defensive stars on this team, but Jonathan Allen and Reuben Foster, 2 of the 5 finalists for the Nagurski Trophy, the Defensive Player of the Year. Bama's won the last 4 matchups with Florida, including last year's SEC Championship, and as the Gators continue to prepare for this rematch of last year's game, they got to avoid that deja vu we were talking about, right?
Well, exactly right. They've got to forget what's happened in the past because it's not been very good. Austin Appleby, a week ago against Florida State, they were 0 for 12 on 3rd down. The last time they were 0 for was in this game a year ago. That can't happen today. Jordan Scarlett, the good news is 2 of the last 3 games he's run for over 100 yards. They're going to need some productivity from him.
6 touchdowns on the season, 0 in the last 4 ball games. And we talk about the explosive players like Antonio Callaway. He's got touchdowns in receiving, kick returns, running the ball. Brandon Powell's another guy they have to get the ball to who can stretch the field. But he only has 2 touchdowns, and those happened at the beginning of the season, the first 2 ball games.
Explosive plays are the key. And the other key is when you have these lockdown corners like Tease Tabor and Quincy Wilson, you have the ability to get an extra guy in the box and maybe take away Alabama's running game. If you can do that and make Jalen Hurts one-dimensional, you give yourself a chance.
Florida needs a defensive touchdown or 2, don't they?
And you look at Alabama, they don't give up much when they turn the rock over, but you got those 2 lockdown corners, as you just mentioned. Both have pick 6s on the season, but they need a few today.
Indeed.
It's important that the defense gets hope from the offense. Piñeiro's been a great story. Last year we were talking about a dentist kicking for Florida. This year he's been fantastic. You can see 18 of 22. Maybe it comes down to a big kick for him.
Yeah, and he could be relied upon a lot if Florida's defense can get the ball to the offense deep in their territory, and they're going to need some field goals. It's what kept Auburn in the game last week as well. And Alabama and Florida keeping it gentlemanly out there.
Yeah, how about Piñeiro, though? He was originally an Alabama recruit. He committed to them, and then decommitted. Of course, it's on the opposite sideline.
All right, as we get closer to kickoff here, you see the countdown now dipping below 34 minutes. And as we prepare for a rematch of last year's SEC championship game, let's now check out some of the keys to the game presented by Nissan. Rick, why don't you start us off here?
Well, I think it's about staying on the field. Again, flashing back to a year ago, they only had the ball 16 and a half minutes, talking about Florida's offense. They're going to have to stay on the field. Third down productivity is going to be critical. If they can stay out there, give defense a hope, obviously the defense can do their job as well.
Alabama's won 24 straight, right?
That's it.
As Lil Wayne would say, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Just be yourself. They've been doing this for 24 straight ball games. They win the line of scrimmage, and they're going to do that today as well.
Be yourself, and I just say don't beat yourself.
Yeah.
You don't need to get too risky if it's all going well. Limit the turnovers. Don't give Florida a short field. Like I said, it's what kept Auburn in the game last week, although the defense held them to field goals. So those are our Nissan keys to the game. All right, coming up, a closer look at Alabama's Jalen Hurts and how the freshman silently embraces his role as a leader. You are watching Auto Trader College Football Today on CBS. Jim McElwain is the first coach to get to the SEC championship game in each of his first 2 years. A recap of the Florida season now, presented by the Home Depot.
That's a go, man open. Caught, it's Jawan Jennings. My goodness.
A second half comeback victory for the first time in 12 years over the Florida Gators.
Thank you very much. Jeez, Tabor takes it to the house.
They get the ball to Callaway. Touchdown. Oh, my. Slamming the door shut. Florida beats Georgia in Jacksonville. Guys trying to lead over the top.
And we're going to fly home champions of the Eastern Division.
We have seen them make so many plays. We have seen them hang around against opponents that even they might have known were better. Jim McElwain has wondered, how come people doubt my Gators as we are under 30 minutes to kick off here? Rick, if you were Jim McElwain's offensive coordinator, what is your game plan going in here?
Well, I would study that Ole Miss tape. They scored 43 points on them. Chad Kelly had a nice game. There were some big balls down the field. I'd look to see that film, but I'd stay away from plays that are not going to work. Traditional running plays are not going to work. You have to run draws, and you have to get the ball out of your hand, throwing the ball down the field. Remember the 3 big plays against Tennessee in the first half? That gave the Gators a chance to win that game. Obviously, they went away from it, and Tennessee got
Ole
way
Miss
back
had
in it.
17 plays of 10 yards or more, but Alabama allows the fewest chunk plays in the country, just like they are in every other defensive statistic. They're number 1.
And they're all out there right now. And now Quicken Loans presents its 2016 SEC Scholar Athlete. Throughout the year, Quicken Loans has been committed to the investment of our future, shown today by donating $1,000 to each of the 14 SEC schools' general scholarship funds in honor of the scholars that you see on your screen for their accomplishments in the classroom, the community, and on the field of play. Great job by each of them. Now, Alabama, they're getting A's in championship games. Between the SEC championship and the national championship, they have won the last 8 championship games they've been in, going back to the loss to Florida in 2008 on this stage.
This is a run like we've never seen. I mean, this is 4 of 6, as you said at the Open. It has a chance to be 5 of 8. And for Nick Saban, 6 of 12 in his last 12 college seasons.
And what really impresses me about their play on defense is the fact they're sudden change D. They don't give up points when you force them into mistakes. Last week, only 6 on the season. They've got those 19 turnovers, only 34 points they've allowed. That's 1.8 points per turnover. You get nothing from these guys.
You brought a calculator to this game.
I did.
My goodness. All right now, Rick is going to show us something that Alabama does inside the 20 called lethal RPO. I hope the play is less drastic than that sounds. Now, Rick explains in the Red Zone, presented by Verizon.
Well, it's as if Alabama didn't have everything before. Now they have a dual threat quarterback. RPO stands for run pass option. You're going to see the offensive line come off the ball blocking a run. Jalen Hurts is going to read the inline defender. You're going to see Garrett Dieter, the slot, come down and block. Ridley's going to run a pass play because anybody can block up to 3 yards down the field, and it's still legal to have a forward pass. Here's the read. He gets what he wants. Ridley walks into the end zone. It looks unfair, does it not?
It's totally unfair. They need to change the rules right now. How's the defense supposed to figure that out? Looks like run, and then you throw it on him.
Poor BJ. By the way, Jalen Hurts has grown into one of the unequivocal leaders of the Alabama offense. The freshman quarterback's game plan to success has been really simple. Let his actions speak louder than his words.
The title of this piece is Jalen Hurts Says. Jalen Hurts says nothing in this piece. Jalen Hurts is a true freshman at Alabama. That means no matter how much he has to say, he can't speak to the media. A lot of people have a lot to say about Jalen Hurts. His parents, for one.
I'm sorry, but Coach Saban does not make freshmen available to the media, and Jalen's parents wish to abide by his wishes.
Okay, so that's out. There is one man who has said the name Jalen Hurts more than anyone this year.
Jalen Hurts drops back.
Eli Gold.
Jalen Hurts is a remarkable talent who probably doesn't realize he's not supposed to be doing all that he's doing this season.
But really, he's only the voice of the Tide. What does he have to say? In Alabama, his is the only say that matters.
I thought that the way he played at Ole Miss, I said, I think we might have something here.
That was the moment. When we all looked around, eyes wide and jaws dropped. Hey, this kid could be something. That was when opponents said,
untouched.
This kid could be a problem.
He's into the secondary. Gets a good block. He's got it. Alabama. Touchdown. 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 Crimson Tide.
That's when his teammates had to have a say for him.
Well, I think, what the players say about him, he's got a lot of dog in him. Now, I don't know what exactly that means.
Dog is a person who just has a mentality to go out and get it no matter what.
I think the biggest thing is his poise, just the way he handles any type of circumstance in the game.
He's their dog. All bite, no bark. The best way to be. Today is the biggest game of Jalen Hurts' life. We'll all say he's the key to the game and the focus of the offense. The fans will scream for him. Eli Gold will say his name. Vernon Gary, too. His coach will say, "You're the man." His teammates will say, "You lead, we will follow."
Touchdown, Alabama!
But Jalen Hurts will say nothing. He doesn't have to. Not yet. He just has to play.
This young man has been simply brilliant, and I promise you this, every college coach is looking for one just like him.
It's pretty simple. He has a peaceful, easy feel for the game.
I'm looking forward to hearing what he sounds like. Wait till next year. When we return, a nostalgic look back at some of the best moments from past SEC championship games as we get you set for number 25. Roll Tide and Gator Chomp Nation have traveled here to Atlanta for today's championship game, each with hopes of adding some future tailgating to their very successful season so far.
Auto Trader College Football Today is sponsored by Auto Trader. Find your perfect new, used, or certified car on Auto Trader. Napa. Keep your ride running longer, stronger with Napa know-how. And by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
Welcome back to Auto Trader College Football Today. A reminder, get the CBS Sports app for inside access to Alabama, Florida, or your favorite team. From signing day to game day, you'll get instant coverage of every moment from every angle. Download the CBS Sports app today. All right, it is time now for predictions. Alabama favored by more than 3 touchdowns to win this thing today. BJ, what do you say?
Mama said never run to a butt whipping. Florida's about to. Tide rolls 45-3.
Whoa.
You know what? I have to agree with them. As much as I'd love to see Florida give them a heck of a game, I think it's a 34-7 Alabama win. Their defense is just that good.
I didn't think that I was going to be the kindest. I got Alabama 33-9 and And people keep asking, oh, does that include a Florida touchdown? No. Three field goals. So, come on. Alabama's won 14 straight against ranked teams. Florida's got to do something.
For us to be wrong, Florida's going to have to get off to a great start. We'll wait and see if that can happen.
Turnovers, if they can get any into points, it's going to be difficult to do.
All right. And if Alabama does win this game, it would be 15 straight against ranked teams, which would tie Oklahoma's run from the mid-70s for the second longest. And it doesn't seem possible that this is the 25th SEC championship game, while Alabama and Florida are going through their final preparations to meet for the 9th time in this, the granddaddy of all conference championship games. We leave you with a look back at some of the greatest moments from the last quarter century of the SEC championship.
It's a little nerve-wracking walking into the Georgia Dome. It's a big old stadium. When you walk into the stadium on game day, the guys were juiced, the coaches were excited. And
I've had kids that have been to the Super Bowl and tell me the same thing. You know, there's nothing like the Southeastern Conference game.
I've been to Super Bowls, I've been to Final Fours. The atmosphere, the energy in a stadium on that game day is like no other place around.
After playing in NFL playoff games and Super Bowls, that atmosphere that night in Atlanta feeling comparable to some of the bigger NFL games that I played in.
But yeah, you could feel it was basically the national championship.
And we've got an interesting matchup today for the Southeastern Conference Championship game. A Florida team that has an explosive offense against an Alabama defense that has denied most everyone all season long.
Well, the 1992 Alabama team was number one in the nation about every defensive category. But for some reason, we matched up with them.
Matthews gives it off to Rhett. Touchdown, Florida.
But we just couldn't get it going and clicking like we had all season, and we could see the pressure mount.
You know, they were expected to beat us. They were ahead 21-7 late in the game, and we rallied and tied it up 21-all.
In the game, it was so big and it was so magnified because of what we had on the line.
Touchdown!
Not only was Alabama worried that their national title hopes were going to be dashed by a team that wasn't as good.
21-21 tie.
We got the ball back, and some guy threw an interception for a touchdown, and we lost the game.
I promise you, I turned into a riverboat gamble on that one play.
As Matthews goes back and throws. Intercepted by Langham. He's on his way. Touchdown, Alabama.
Just to be part of the first ever SEC championship game, it would always be etched in stone as a classic.
First time we played in Atlanta, 1994, we were down by 6 and got the ball back, and it was time to try anything. A little sideways pass. Danny Warfel throws it backwards a bit. Chris catches it. Receiver goes down as if blocking and then sort of runs a corner route. And Chris threw a beautiful pass, hit him down to about the 2-yard line. The next play, Danny Warfel audibled and hit Doring for the touchdown.
And the Florida Gators have won another Southeastern Conference championship.
There was a lot of hyped up people, you know, going into that game.
The atmosphere was electric that night.
That particular ball game representing the first SEC championship game we'd been to was huge.
That's the game that you wanted to play in, and so it was. It felt as big as I thought it would be.
As Manning throws to the right side, it is grabbed at the 30, breaking a tackle, 35-40, 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10-5, touchdown, Marcus Nash.
I can just remember after the game, the celebration.
Most valuable player of the best damn team in the conference, Peyton Manning.
I remember leading the band after the game. It was really special that night.
The Georgia Dome. For the 5th straight year, it's home for the Southeastern Conference Championship game, and for the 2nd straight year, Tennessee is here.
We tried to take it just like another game, but you could feel the energy on that field long before we got to the game.
Martin is back to throw, throwing it deep down into the end zone, battling down there for Tennessee. It is 6 big points. Give him a TD. Peerless Price. This will be Martin back to throw, looking into the end zone. Downfield, it will be Wilson. Give it to him. Touchdown, Tennessee.
as Martin goes down to the knee. The Southeastern Conference Championship has been won for the second successive year, and both times Tennessee came from behind in the second half.
But having been to that game 5 times as a coach, I don't think there's a better setting in college football.
2 11-1 teams for the SEC championship game, fighting for the right to play Notre Dame in the national championship.
I mean, when you have the number 2, number 3 team in the nation playing against each other,
more than likely, you win that, you're going to play in the national championship.
First down 10, 3.5 remaining. Play action, McCarron. Deep left side, got a man open, got the touchdown, Amari Cooper. And the margin is 4.
15 seconds, the clock has started.
Well, here we go. Murray got it, but the clock is running. Game over. Alabama faces Notre Dame for the national championship.
we're 4 yards away from, taking down Alabama, being able to go to the national championship.
It's just a special game and a great conference with a lot of great history, and it's awesome to be a part of.
Next year, this game moves to a new home next door. But first, there is one more piece of history for either Alabama or Florida to write this afternoon. Who will be the 2016 SEC champion? Vern, Gary, and Allie with the call after this message and a word from your local station. You have been watching Auto Trader College Football Today on CBS.